Well, hello. Welcome back to Survival Saturday with Johnny Tiger on April 9, 2022. As you can see, left hand almost back to normal, but still can't do anything too crazy with it yet. Give it another 2 days, I'll be back throwing left hooks and right hooks and all that stuff. So today, I thought, well, why don't we do something that's a little bit more simple, but nonetheless very important. And something that I realize we have neglected so far. We have looked at blades, sword, knives, and all that good stuff multiple times on the show, and we've definitely seen different blade types, different uh, tactical, what my advice was on the best everyday carry knife and all that stuff. We even seen some cutting tests before. But we have not talked about the butt end of the knife, aka the pommel. Well, usually it's called a pommel on the sword, but you can call it a pommel on the knife too. The pommel, which is the tail end of the knife. That part of the knife is equally vital when you're picking out what knife to buy, what knife to carry, what is your favorite knife. Now, I don't have every single pommel type out there. Obviously, there's like probably hundreds of different variations. But I have the most common and the most basic, the most uh, commonplace you're going to run into. I'm going to walk you through them today. Now, if you are already a knife guru, a knife aficionado, you've been collecting for a while, then this may be a bit of a waste of time. But hey, stay a while and look at the cool knives and have fun. First, we have in my hand this little utilitarian, very utility-oriented knife. This is a Mora Companion, made, I believe, by the same folks that made Swiss Army knife. It's a very good, solid, stout utility knife. Uh, I got it from my good friend Richard. But let's look at the tail end of this knife, the butt end of this knife. This is basically what you would call no butt. No butt. The hatchback version of a knife, meaning the hilt just end. There's nothing, nothing special at the end. Nothing special at the end. Just end in the like someone who like the handle was supposed to be longer, and then someone take a axe and chop it off, and that's it. They call it a day. Okay, you see this kind of butt. You see this kind of handle on steak knife, on utility knife. Uh, there's really nothing wrong with them. It's just there's nothing special with them either. Okay, it's just a handle. It just terminates right there. Uh, it's flat. It's the same material as the handle. There's no special shape, no special design, nothing special. Okay, it just there's no butt, there's no pommel on this knife. Now, personally speaking, I don't like knives that have no butt. Uh, Reason being, I feel that's a bit of a waste of space. I feel that if I am going to go to the trouble of carrying uh, a knife in my pocket, then I want this knife to be able to do as much as possible, which means the front end of the knife should be good for something, the back end of the knife should be good for something, the guard of the knife should be good for something, the butt end of the knife should be good for something. Okay, that's my personal preference. And we put that aside. Next, we have a good old classic. Everyone probably recognizes this, and this is one of the old genuine ones. Uh, U.S. Marine K-bar knife. I got this when I was a teenager. Cost an arm and a leg. Beautiful, beautiful knife. Been through a lot. I even sharpened the back edge for a good both working knife and fighting knife. Like I said, it's been through a lot with me. Camping, hiking. Uh, uh, no, I never killed anyone with it. But yeah, anyway. Now, the K-bar USMC knife has one of my personal favorite pommel on it, a round hammer style pommel. Okay, this is solid, metallic piece of round piece of flat metal on the butt end of the knife. And as you guys can see on the camera, this is scratched up, dinged up, because it's a great working tool on its own. Okay, if I don't have a hammer handy when I'm out there in the wilderness trying to hammer something into the ground or hammer something into a tree, I can use the butt end of the knife as a hammer, no problem. Now, quick word of advice, I mean, it's a bit of common sense, but need to be said. When you are hammering with a knife, when you're using this as a hammer, make sure to keep it in the sheath. Okay? Okay? I mean, I feel ridiculous that I even have to say this, but there really had been people that were dumb enough to take this out of the sheath and then hammer with the butt end. Okay, like some kind of a Viking warrior in the movies that are trying to crush someone's skull in with butt end. Why? Why should you not do this? Because if you swing too wide, the point will come right back into your face. That's why. You stab yourself. Okay? So when you're hammering with a knife, using it as a tool, as this kind of knife is meant to be. Keep it in the sheath. Keep it in the sheath. You don't need to take it out and just hammer it like this, right? With the butt end. So if it hit yourself, you are not going to kill yourself by accident. Now, before I put this aside, there is a different kind of combat knife, or what people sell as combat knife and survival knife, that look like this. Look like this has a round hammer pommel, hammer cap. But with the addition, and some people will go and buy those because they thought it's a great idea. The pommel, you can unscrew it and take it off, and the inside of the hilt, you can store compass and fishing line and stuff like that. Don't buy those, okay? I don't have any of those to show you because I don't trust, I don't believe in those, and I would highly recommend don't buy those because you can, yes, you can store things inside the hilt, but that also means the hilt is hollow, which means your knife is already compromised. Your knife is just ready to break anytime. Okay? What you can, the little bit of things you can store inside a knife hilt, it's so minimal that you might as well put them in a Ziploc bag and then store them separately and have a nice solid knife. Next, we have, this is no stranger to these videos. This is a cold steel tiger karambit, one of my favorite. And of course, a karambit is identified by the finger ring on the butt end of the hilt, like this. Okay? This is one of my favorite designs for knives because once you get your finger in there and close your hand, even if you happen to, if someone hits your hand and you open your hand, you're not going to drop the knife. It's dangling on your finger. Okay? Dangling on your finger. It's a really secure grip. really secure grip. Now you do sacrifice that you can't use this butt end for hardly anything else. I mean, you can use it for punching people. Like when I keep my finger in this, this is a pretty good brass knuckle. So if I don't want to kill someone with a knife, I can punch with the ring side of the knife. That's really good. But and I suppose like if you are so inclined, you can use a ring like a bottle opener, like a beer bottle opener. That would work. Uh, but really the use is a bit limited. I always said about Karambit, they're great for fighting knife because they're designed to be good fighting knife. Secure grip, the ring allow you to swing the knife in very tricky angles and all that stuff. However, they don't make very good utility knife because the curved clawed shape make it really awkward to try to cut something. If you don't believe me, next time you have something like a rope or a cable that you want to cut, try to cut it with a karambit. It's a pain in the butt. Okay, so karambit grip, karambit pommel, karambit the ring pommel is good for fighting, good for punching, good for a secure grip, good for tying your knife to the end of a stick to turn it into a spear. But for general purpose use, it's not the best. Next up, we have this big bad boy here. This is a Survivor HK Cookery. Pretty impressive knife, especially for a low-end cookery blade. Makes a nice small machete and all that. The handle material is plastic. Unfortunately, I don't like that, but it is pretty solid. Now, turn this around. You can see that on the end of the handle where the pommel should be, there's no pommel, but instead there's a knob. There's a metal knob that come out and then point and terminate in a point. It's quite pointy. Some people call this skull crusher. Skull crusher. That is not a skull crusher. Okay, so this is a glass breaker. That's what that is. And when you see a knife that have this little knob of metal at the end that is round and pointy, that's for breaking glasses. If you are trapped inside a car, if you're trapped inside a building, and you need to break a window, this is going to be your best friend. And so this is a very good thing to have on the butt end of your knife. It's a glass breaker like this. Now speaking of glass breaker, sometimes it doesn't look like that. Okay, here this is another gift given to me by my good friend Richard. This is a K-bar Peter Janda thin knife. Beautiful, beautiful tanto blade, serrated, very stout, like most of the K-bar stuff. Um, very secure in the hand, very sharp, beautiful knife. And if you look at the butt end of this knife, the handle, the metal of the grip itself actually extend beyond the grip material to form this angular, thin angular piece. So this too is a glass breaker. It just rather than adding an extra piece of metal onto the butt end of the knife, they left a little bit of the extra metal on the butt and they hammer it so it's pointy and so but it serves exactly the same purpose. And that's a different kind of glass breaker. Last but not least, we have this big boy here, another K-bar offering. This is a K-bar Tonto, zombie killing Tonto. Um, I believe this is a zombie killer series, and that's the famine title. There were four blades in the zombie killing series. Now they're cheesy, they're really cheesy, they're campy. Definitely aimed for people who have too much fantasy about zombie movie. But if you look past the cheesy name like the War Sword, the Famine Tanto, the Death Dagger, the Pestilent Chopper. Okay, the names are silly, and the green handle was silly. But if you look past that, at the core, this is a great, super solid Tanto knife. One of the best in my collection, even better than my Cold Steel GI Tanto. And the butt of this blade has an interesting design. At first, you would almost think that's a glass breaker, except rather than pointing out directly to the bottom, this curve to the side. So when I hold it, like in a regular tanto, how I would hold a tanto, okay, either this or the this pointy bit of metal curve forward. Okay, what is that? This is called a hook pommel. A hook pommel. A hook pommel is good for several purposes. A hook pommel is good, so if I want more length on this knife, I can get my hand to the end of the butt, and the hook actually hook right onto my little finger, giving me that extra little bit of leverage if I need to chop, holding it this way. Okay. If I want a reverse grip, the hook act not quite like, but similar to a Karambit ring, because it hook over my index finger like this, so I'm less likely to drop the knife. Of course, since it is a hook, let me slide this back in the sheath before we have any accident, because uh, sometimes the cats get a little bit inquisitive and I'm a little bit nervous messing around with knife when wouldn't be able to see if they suddenly jump onto counter in front of me. But let me fold this sheath back. This hook part is also good for another purpose. If you're out there and you need to move, like let's say you have a rose bush, a blackberry bush, that you need to move out of the way and you don't want to grab it with your hand, then you hold it this way. You put your knife in the sheath, hold it with the butt forward, and now you can hook whatever you need out of the way. Okay? When you are fighting, or if you are fighting, this hook part also allow you to punch forward, just like you're punching somebody, and that hook part will hit the person. Again, a little bit like a knuckle duster, a brass knuckle. So in the end, people are going to ask me, so you've shown quite a few, a different pommel type, different butt type on the knife. You got the hook pommel, you got the ring pommel, you got the hammer cap, you got the glass breaker, and then of course there are the no butt, the no butt design, which there's nothing. Which one's your favorite? And this is going to surprise you guys because a lot of people are going to say, obviously, I'm going to go for the Karambit style ring pommel because they are optimized for fighting. But let's take ourselves out of our fantasy for a second. How often do you actually get into a knife fight? Hopefully never. So while if I'm thinking about fighting, I want something like my Steel Tiger Karambit with a ring pommel. that is not my favorite for everyday use. My favorite for everyday use would probably come down to my good old trusty United States Marine K-bar with a hammer cap. Why the hammer cap? Some people say, well, why not the glass breaker? Because that have dual purpose. Why? Because with the hammer cap, I can actually break glass with this. This is a solid chunk of metal right on the end of my knife. I can either hammer the glass with this, or I can put the point of my knife against the glass and then hit it with my hand. That's going to break the glass. I don't need an extra glass breaker. And also, I've shown this technique before in knife fighting, right? If I'm defending myself, if I'm fighting with a knife and someone suddenly hold onto my wrist so I can't move the knife closer to them, the technique is I'm going to take my other hand and hit the butt end of my knife, and that will drive the knife right towards them. If there's a glass breaker on the tail end of my knife, a sharp, pointy glass breaker on the tail end of my knife, I'm not going to do that. It's going to hurt me. So there's there's a good reason why my K-Bar USMC has been with me for this long and still remains one of my all-time favorite knives. I hope this video has been useful, at least entertaining. I'll see you guys tomorrow on Soul Search Sunday. Have a good night.